Hey, hams to you, Mr. Johnson. Welcome back into the studio.
Pleasure to be here.
And to the Canadian to my right, nice game.
Oh, thank you. What an exciting week, wasn't it?
It was great for hockey.
Exactly.
Great for hockey. Let's just get it out there. And the Americans had plenty of opportunities to win. Canadians took advantage of American mistakes. That's how the game goes. It was just a great game, although I didn't see it personally. I was on an airplane, but I saw the highlights and things.
Skill level.
Yeah.
I love the popularity.
I think the U.S. team has to go back to using college amateurs. They have more success in international competitions than using pros.
Well, you act like
funny you say that because I recommended that last Olympics. I said, maybe it's time to go back to the old way.
What, do you got relatives that played on those teams, Eddie?
But I had one playing in this one, the nephew. But the pro influence changes international hockey.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to throw this one out there, that we're sitting here talking about what a great game. If you put the Russians lineup together, I would be afraid to go out and say that either one of those teams we watched would have came out. The Russians have the potential to load up the Olympics.
I talked about that yesterday. I talked about Ovechkin. He's sitting home. The boy who plays for the Wild. Those guys they're great players, and they weren't even on the ice.
No, you're right.
So it's going to be interesting as we move into 2026.
Yeah.
But
it's the 8 nations.
We're here with Valley Imports. Valley Imports, our presenting sponsor. The Hockey Guys, brought to you by Valley Imports and Valley Pre-Owned, your best price leader in the region. Find your next vehicle at valleyimports.com. So thank you to Valley Imports.
Okay.
College hockey. I actually watched a lot of hockey.
Did you? How about last night? Did you see anything that piqued your interest?
I just see that the Warriors came out and took care of Orno, so I'm going to talk a little coaching here with Wilson in the house. So the team that got rid of a kid from Warroad that was coaching in Oro got beat by Warroad with a coach from Warroad that actually stayed. So you guys figured out down there in the Metro, you might want to reevaluate who you have on the bench when you're playing games against the Warriors.
That's funny.
A little motivation.
Yeah, and good luck to the boys Spuds tonight. They're on a roll. Did I see they were ranked number 1 or 2 in the country?
In the country?
Yeah.
Well,
for high school hockey, it's like.
Well, I've been fortunate. I watched them a couple times, and I swear it was either a junior team or college. I mean,
well, they've got 3 or 4 kids going to D1.
They have some players.
Yeah,
they just when they get down the corner cooking on you, cycling, give and goes, you are in trouble. And I like the no look pass and stuff like that. Like I remember working Moorhead Blue Line, and they teach that, and every time I taught it, we couldn't catch a pass, so I could look who you're passing it to, but they don't walk into the receiver, right? And it's just, they're just a talented bunch, and a lot of genetic gene pool there too.
And I think they'll have to play Bemidji again, so it'll be an interesting, final, just given the fact that.
And that would be next week somewhere, right?
I think Tuesday.
Neutral site, where's that at?
That'll be determined who's in it, so it depends.
Seems like I've always been that Thief River all the time when I've gone to see games.
But no, would it be down? Would it be at the hockey center?
Bemidji could go either way, right? I'm not sure. If it's Bemidji, it could be St. Cloud or it could be Thief River. I don't know which way they would consider it. They may go to St. Cloud thinking Bemidji is too close to Thief River. I don't know.
Yeah, geographically.
If somebody knows the answer to that question, give us a call.
Shout out to
smarten us up, 701-293-9000.
It's playoff hockey season. This is the best part. Okay, last night, anything that caught your interest in the college ranks? I got 2 that did.
Well, the little M one.
Yeah, but the other M out on the East Coast didn't. Connecticut beat Maine.
That was interesting, yeah. And again, I'm gonna suggest the only thing that I'm gonna throw out, and why I started with the little M. Minnesota, for those that don't listen to us all the time. The big M is Michigan. The guy that's not on the score sheet at Minnesota consistently, Snuggerud.
Yeah.
So something interesting there, right?
It might be an injury.
And I don't know, you guys, we don't have to throw it out here, but what package you got on TV? I saw the pickleball championships out of St. Pete, Florida yesterday.
Who won?
Are you on Cable One?
Ethel Merman or someone. I don't know. I mean, I'm just going, what the heck? I'm flipping through.
Regular Channel 41 showing the Minnesota tournaments, the high school tournaments.
Okay, is that out of
Cable One?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've got Starlink, and I love my Starlink. You go to YouTube TV, you can get like anything. It's amazing.
Because I remember the old days, you could pay $3.99, and I could pick up a game if UND was playing Quinnipiac or something. I could pick it up.
So the name that I threw out here, Lamb, Cody Lamb last night with 3 points, 2 goals and an assist. He has been playing probably as good as anybody on that Gopher roster. Last weekend I caught a game that they were playing. So.
Well, I watched Wisconsin last night.
Wisconsin had Jeff Jackson talking to his son like he was confused as to what rink he was in.
And when they had him on, they had a little, I guess I would say zeroed in on him on the bench. He did not stop talking. It was not pleasant what he was saying to the boys. But yeah, I mean, look out Wisconsin for the Big Ten playoffs. They could be a team to be reckoned with.
North Dakota.
How about
18 now.
How about Northeastern?
Coming back, Northeastern
just spanked Boston University in Boston University's ring.
So Boston's gone from 3 and now they're 10 after last night. So there's been some movement.
Yep.
Here's the game I did watch, though. I watched Penn State and Michigan State.
Yeah, that was a good game. I caught the third period. Yeah,
that's the game
they
I
won
watched.
the shootout, but I mean, but that was those goaltenders were both really good.
They were on, and this is the time of year, Phil, is that you should never lose a game because of a goalie.
Right.
And you should win games because of a goalie, and that's this factor. No, it's getting jacked up now, and you got to have a strong goalie to win NCAA, the Stanley Cup, whatever you're playing.
Yep.
You need a hot goalie.
Yep, and a little puck luck.
And just because we're a little bit close to the two involved here, American International, who will lose a program. Mm-hmm. This is interesting.
Are they totally losing, or are they going down?
At the height of hockey, after you watch 10 million people watch a hockey game, you're sitting there watching college ranks have some issues with the situation, but they actually beat Army last night, and of course
Army's been pretty good.
Has been doing kind of what I would call a retirement tour with Coach.
Yep. And what's the one that's coming in next year from like Tennessee? There's a D1 program that's coming into play next year, and
I'll have to turn on the research button and see.
Try and find that one.
I find it funny. I was looking through different levels of different leagues out there, and the names of them, they're the grasshoppers and different. I just chuckle because I'm going, but it's these southern states and stuff that's.
Well, listen to this. So I'm out in Big Sky Country, and I see this ad for the Casper Warbirds Hockey Club. Piqued my interest. I said, "Well, what's that? Is that like a?" I'd not heard that there was any teams out there. They are in the National Collegiate Development Conference. Do a little research on that. They are scattered throughout the country. There's two leagues, I think, in the East Coast, and there's this one out in the West, Utah, Wyoming, Colorado. And so I want to ask Brett Larson, what's that all about? I've not heard about that. I don't know what that process is.
There's lots going on, because when we say who's coming into Division I hockey, there's actually 5 teams that will go into ACHA Division I hockey.
Okay.
That's your Lindenwood that came in now that moved. So anyway, those teams are Central Michigan University, Siena Heights,
the Chippewas,
Siena Heights University, both Michigan, University of Cincinnati.
Okay.
University of Kentucky out of Lexington is what you were probably referring to.
That's the one that I was thinking.
And University of Michigan in Flint. So you have 3 Michigan, and you'll have Ohio and Kentucky. So what a potential.
And rumor is the University of Michigan is finally going to get off the schneid and get their women's program going, which would be good. And I wish we could get North Dakota's program back. I think that.
So we got some things we'll work on, but we're going into this intermission. Our sponsor, Ham's Beer. Ham's to you. Hams is still brewed in that true family tradition, using the purest water and choicest barley, grain, and hop. So we'll be back here on the Hockey Guys, and we'll continue this discussion as to leagues. There's a lot going on. College hockey's growing, and I think it's going to go southeast and it's going to go west. So come on back, and we'll keep chatting about the growth of college hockey. You know, when you kind of look at this, there were a lot of mimes.
That was awesome.
There were a lot of mimes going around during this Canadian-U.S. games. There were a lot of mimes, and there were a lot of references back to Slapshot. So the Hanson brothers had more time on some of the social media networks. You know that, Wills. You were sending them
I'm
to
a
me.
Thunder Bay boy, but I'll tell you what, when we, he was a few years older than I was, but we went to go watch, and they picked him up with the Thunder Bay Twins. Okay, and we're all pumped up. We're high school guys, about 8 of us go to watch school there because he's going to be crazy, man, right? His first shift, the official points at his illegal curve, wants to measure it. He swings his stick at the official. His teammate tackles him to the ground, tossed out, doesn't play a second.
You know,
True story.
That was as
Not a
close.
second.
That was as close to WWF wrestling as you ever got, was having Oglethorpe come on the ice, because it was almost like it was staged, wasn't it, Dean?
Well, and then my neighbor, Dave Vion, who played for the Twins, good player, you know, a few years older, obviously, but he said...
Thunder Bay Twins.
Thunder Bay Twins.
Yeah,
you're
well,
right.
yeah,
You're right. Thunder Bay Twins for the, they play for the Allen. They play for the Allen Cup. But anyways,
a hockey team in Thunder Bay.
He's got nunchucks in the locker room, and everybody's telling him, I go, you're not even, Bruce Lee, you're not good at it. He's whacking himself. He goes, you got to practice. He's got more bruises on his arms because he's doing these nunchucks, and his Dave Viant goes to me, that guy's crazy, man.
Oh, man.
So let's get back to the college hockey. We appreciate our weekly sponsors, Red Pepper, Alston Sinaski Wealth Management, Carpet World, Welton's Tire Service, Dakota Refrigeration, Bag and Strindon. Strindon's a name that showed up on the score sheet last night for North Dakota.
Number 21.
And the Fargo Force. So, actually talking about somebody who's gotten them off to a good start, 3 games in a row.
Yeah.
Ben Strindon's been actually...
Cameron Berg's been still doing good.
Creating some offense.
They're getting healthy, right?
They are, and they're getting some production, too. And I think the goaltending is starting to kind of level out and be a little bit more consistent. So,
and I think with Coach Larson as our guest, I think the same thing where they've had a few injuries banged up and trying to get people back in the lineup. That it's go time now.
Got his goaltender back.
Right.
Goaltender goes home a few months ago after a team meal, nap time, walks in the kitchen, and ended up, I believe, with a tendon that was cut. So, you can read between the lines. Probably don't want to give him a set of nunchucks because he probably dropped a knife on himself.
Yep.
Cut his toe.
Be careful. Yep. But here's another thing. You're talking about all these teams popping up. And, the stream on Facebook, it's like ludicrous. All these camps are happening in May. These development, whatever. I can't even I go, holy man, they're all over the place. These opportunities for kids beyond high school or whatever, or juniors or whatever, to try out. So they're all over the place. My bird dog, Dave Morinville, he put out Moorhead played Bemidji section final. Game 2 was in Thief River. So he threw that out. Yeah, Dave, I'm pretty thirsty, but we won't get into that. Well, you should never bet against Canada, Dave. Anyways, we'll move on here.
That was a reference to last week, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it, Wills?
I think so, but we're moving on here. We're moving on. Oh, we got a go ahead.
What other game surprised you last night in the college world?
Those two really kind of surprised me. Although, as I look down the list,
little shout out to our coach Sarah Torrey, win number 400 last night at Bemidji State.
Wow,
so
congrats.
if you're paying attention to longevity, another one of those iconic folks who has stayed loyal to his school.
I was a little surprised that Western lost to Arizona State, but it's down in Arizona. And
that's the game that I was waiting to.
Was that 5th goal? Was that an open net goal? That probably was.
But that's a scary team, though.
Well,
Arizona.
and that's where North Dakota goes next weekend, into the crazy Lawson Ice Arena in Kalamazoo. So
wow.
So
I was a little bit surprised. I thought Western. I thought
Western would win, but get down there, get in the heat, get the dry.
So I would share with you that the goalie was pulled early, and the goal was scored at 17:39 into an empty net. So actually, Western pulled the goaltender early.
Yeah, so it's closer than what the score looks like.
Maybe that may have been, but again, ASU, they're obviously they've never been sitting where they get that automatic entry. So they're pushing hard to.
They're the real deal, and they've got
be
some
in that
local
16.
kids on there.
Yeah. Eddie, I was going to throw a heavy one back at you. So what's the difference between the parity and consistency? Because we always talk about parity and then just that consistency during, you're on the roll now. We're in the back end, March Madness, right?
Well, how the coach talks. That's the difference between parity and consistency.
Or
if the coach talks about parity, you go 1-1. If the coach talks about playing consistent, you probably sweep the table.
Yeah.
Or parity is having the ability to accumulate players that are playing consistently good throughout the season.
Wow, that's a heavy thought, too. Wow.
It's a lot different when Jeff's not in the house, isn't it? We actually have some folks that can have a conversation and answer questions. But
don't be slamming Jeff. He's not here to defend himself.
At least we're PG, right? My wife goes, now you're going to be PG today.
Yeah, we gave him an opportunity he knows a number to call in.
Right.
So obviously.
Yeah. There's no reason why he couldn't call in. I do it.
And then kind of fun watching the high school girls hockey side.
Mm-hmm.
The goaltender last night that was playing for the Catholic school is actually headed to Wisconsin. So
really?
There were some college gals that are playing in that Minnesota State tournament. The teams that are left, you probably are going to see somewhere about 16 to 18 girls that'll play D1 hockey.
I just came back from the World Women's Division 3B, which is the lowest division in World Women's Hockey. And that was in Sarajevo, Bosnia. Wonderful people. It was a great time. But there were a couple players. There's two players that played for Israel and another player that played for Bulgaria that easily could play Division I hockey here. I mean, they've got size, they had speed, they had a good shot. I hope those guys are looking because those gals are out there.
It's funny when you mention those countries and stuff. I smile, but I got a friend in Sweden, and he throws out those countries because you just don't think about them. You know what I mean? And just like one day I was talking to him, I go, where are you at? He go, we're going to get away and go to Egypt and go golfing. Yeah. Best golf courses in the world. And I can't wrap my brain around all that because we talk about Arizona, Florida, whatever, but internationally, worldly, it's growing,
Jeff would say you may not be able to get your arms to wrap around yourself to hit the golf ball, but he's not here today, so he told me to make sure if you got off course to bring you back.
It truly is an international game, and I love going to those tournaments because you do get a different perspective. Yeah, the quality wasn't good at this tournament. This is the lowest division, and you only can go up, so you want to win it to go up to the next level. But it's interesting that the passion that those girls had. I mean, the competition was good, meaning they were pretty comparable. But, the quality wasn't quite there. I mean, let's be honest. But there were a couple goaltenders that were very good. So, I think if any of the women's college hockey coaches are listening out there, and there are a few, look at those rosters, both for Bulgaria and Israel. And there was a gal that a goaltender from Estonia that was really good too.
And then we'll talk, which we mentioned last week, that when you take a look right now, obviously the Big Ten, potentially 5 teams auto bid, and that doesn't – I mean, can you imagine if you have 5 auto bids and then a team like Wisconsin that decides that they're going to learn how to score goals wins that Big Ten tournament? Now now you put in 6, so that's not what the intent of parity is, right?
Yeah.
It's not to have one league dominate, but that's the outcome of early interleague play is determining the ending at the end of the year.
So the Big M must not have played last night, did they? Did they have a bye week?
I think
I didn't see any.
They did not play last night.
Okay.
I will get back and I will get the answer to that one for you.
But I agree with you, and I think that. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. I mean, you just want to see the best of the best at this time of the year, and that's kind of where we're at. And Wisconsin seems to be dialing it in.
So. My thoughts have been this, and I still remember Sartori and Bemidji. He talked about the big get bigger. I think the Big Ten, the direction hockey's going right now, they're just going to be stronger and stronger. My thoughts of teams that are getting just stronger in that league.
And there's already some chatter, if you're watching around, that there will be some announcements as soon as they're available on CHL moves coming to play college hockey. The answer to your question, Michigan had a bye week.
Okay.
This was their bye week in the Big Ten.
But my answer to that, though, Coach, who's won the last national championships? The Big Ten certainly is void there.
Hey, you are 100% there.
And even though you've got all these big elite players in your big Big Ten, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win.
Sometimes ropey-dope gets you. And again, I'll share with you that people chuckle, but I have to make sure I take care of my origins. But when you get outshot 66-33, and you win a game because somebody decides to make the one right move and at the right time, then So I think Denver is that. I don't ever count Denver out. Denver knows how to play ropey dope. So
just one thing on this formation.
Our intermission sponsor this period is Citywide Electric. Experience you can trust for design, repair, and installation in any home or business electrical projects. That's CitywideElectricND.com, and we'll be back with Coach Brett Larson after this intermission break. Coach Brett Larson, welcome to the Hockey Guys.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on.
Good morning.
Good morning, Coach.
We were visiting. We're not going to talk about daytime events, but we've got some thoughts in watching this week in hockey. And wow, what a week! And you've spent some time in the international coaching world. So, Doc, why don't you ask a couple of thoughts here on what you were?
I just want to say what a great week for hockey, and I think that it filled a tremendous void with, and I'm not so sure I want the All-Star game again the way that they do it now. I'd rather see a Four Nations type thing. But Brett, I've got a question for you. I haven't directly been involved with you, but I was with the World Junior team for approximately 20 years, and I'm always interested to talk to the coaching staff and John Van Beersbrook and everybody else. How do you guys really get down to the nuts and bolts to pick the team? Because there's a lot of questions about how come this person was on the Four Nations team and this person wasn't, and it really is an interesting dynamic how that all sorts out. Do you have a preconceived idea of a team that you want, or do you wait and see what players are available and then try and mold the team around that?
Well, it's a little bit of both because it's a long process. You know, you start that process early in the summer before your summer camp. And so, Van Beesbrook and the scouting staff, they've got multiple NHL guys, helping you out. And, we had guys from Columbus. We had Keith Kachuk from St. Louis. We had multiple guys on the scouting staff that had kind of put lists together. Beezer puts a good list together. All of our coaches kind of put a list together. And we have a pretty big list at the beginning of the summer, and you're just trying to whittle that down a little bit to make those tough decisions who comes to camp. Now you bring, all the kids to camp. You get a good look at them in the summer, and now you got a pretty good feel of what you think you got. But, I mean, I can't tell you how many times there have been kids not even on that list that have a great beginning to their college season, and then the next thing you know, they're on the team. They've earned it.
Yeah, exactly.
And they've jumped in and passed other guys. So, fortunately, the process is pretty long. You're not coming out of the summer camp thinking you got to make your final decisions there, which is really good. And I think the college hockey season is just a really good indicator of who's ready by the time we need to pick that team.
Hey, Coach, Dean Wilson here. I'm going to kind of piggyback. Mine's kind of a generic question, but you played at different levels, coached at different levels. With the World Juniors, do you coach differently? Is it a different vibe, different feel? How do you? I'm curious of how you work through that.
Well, it's a fun. It's number one. You've got great players, and obviously the last couple of years we've had great kids too. And it's, I don't want to say easy as a coach, but the one thing is you've got automatic buy-in from every guy in that team, and all they want to do is win a gold medal, and you've got their full attention. And I think you get the best out of those kids because obviously it's an honor to play for their country and try to win a gold medal. But in that short term, those 3 weeks, you typically get great buy-in. You get kids that are willing to do whatever it takes. We heard the coaches even in the Four Nations tournament talk about it. You have guys that are running NHL power plays on certain teams, and now they're on the fourth line. You've got to get that type of buy-in and acceptance and whatnot. And usually, fortunately for coaches, that's pretty easy because those kids, just like you, all they want to do is win that gold medal.
Do you ever, no names, but do you ever have to potty train anybody? I mean, usually when they get to that stage right there, you got the right people in there. And like you said, they understand the team goal, but you ever have to sit somebody down and potty train them a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. And it usually doesn't take long. It's usually a first-year player that they just don't understand how hard that tournament is. And I won't give any names, but I did this tournament 4 or 5 years ago as well, where we ended up losing 1-0 in the quarterfinal to Finland, and some of the young guys that had used to just dominating at their levels that they had been on got over there and found how hard it is, and they ended up having great success the next year and whatnot. But sometimes, even for the best players in the world, the first year in that tournament can be an eye opener.
For sure.
Coach Eddie here. I'm going to throw a little turn back into the world of college, and as we take a look and recruiting and everything that's going on. And you just went through a little bit of you have success with your assistant coaches and you move them on, and then you're the guy that's now sitting here. So my question's a little off here for you, but what's more difficult with what you just went through, coaching the players or trying to figure out how to coach with the coaches as you went through the year that you're experiencing this year?
Well, this year, I mean, I've got a lot of familiarity with the staff. RJ and Inga and I have known each other forever, and so have Eric Rude and I. So obviously, Eric replaced Dave Shyak, who did an unbelievable job for us, and got the opportunity that he deserved at Northern Michigan. And I know he's going to build that program and turn it around. He's a fantastic coach. This year's a strange year for us, to be honest. I think the good thing is we're all pretty positive guys. We've been able to kind of hold each other up and keep each other up in the second half here. I'll give you an example of how our season's gone. Last night we lose 4-3 at home to Colorado College. We outshoot them 44-29. We outchance them 17-9 as far as any grade A chances. We take one penalty the whole game. Puck possession was extremely in our favor. Pretty much any stat that would tell you you'd win the hockey game was in the Huskies' favor, except the 4-3 score at the end. And it's been a broken record here in the second half where that's happened to us continually. So we've got our starting goalie, Isaac Posh, back now, which we're really excited about. Lost him to an absolute freak injury. That hurt us. We've got some other top players back now that have been out for 2 months as well. I thought we played really well last night, and I believe we're gonna win tonight. But it's been a strange second half, and I guess I've needed guys that I really trust to help all of us just hang in there together and stay positive and keep this team believing that they can turn this thing around.
Coach, I have a question for you, and I come from the health side of it. But do you think this Four Nations tournament will continue in the future? Will it be a regular event or not? And the reason I ask that is that I think there's a couple of GMs that are sitting at their office going, I'm not sure I want to let my guys go because of the chance for significant injury. As we know in the international level, it is go, go, go. It's a whole different level, of play. And do you think because there's been some major injuries to some pretty key players that they're going to think twice maybe about releasing those players to play in a Four Nations Cup?
It's going to be interesting for sure. And I've seen that, with World Juniors,
yep.
The guys come back and they're gassed.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether they get hurt or not, it takes a while to adjust back to college hockey. And I was a part of a really unfortunate incident in the Olympics in Beijing when I was on that staff where Jake Sanderson,
yep.
on the way over, ended up getting COVID in LA at camp, then got over there late, played in one game for us against Canada, was the best defenseman on the ice, I thought, played fantastic. One of his last shifts, separates his shoulder, and he's out for the year for North Dakota.
Yep.
That was really unfortunate. So I think you're going to always have that risk in those events. I would think, there may be a little bit of concern, but my God, what a great week for hockey!
Yeah.
If that doesn't build our game, nothing will.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think there's got to be some feelings that this is great for our game, for our sport. I mean, man, that was unbelievable. Let's face it. It's funny. We were having lunch with the staff the other day, and ESPN never has hockey on hardly during the day ever. They must have hours.
Actually,
and it was great.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I thought it was just a great event for our sport.
Absolutely.
I agree. Brad, I'm Canadian, so we did the Geneva Act here in the studio today. We're going neutral, but just great hockey. I love when they say more people viewing it in the Super Bowl. It put us strong on the map, and that's what we loved about that series.
I may have made this comment to folks and said, what do you think? The second period of the first game may have been the best period of hockey that I ever got to watch.
Yeah, for sure. I thought it was unbelievable hockey all the way through. I just thought one unfortunate thing for the U.S. was how they started the game against Canada earlier in the tournament. You can't replicate that. Right. You just can't. So, it's almost impossible to have that type of energy to start the next game. But I thought they did a great job of how they played, and both teams. I mean, it was the best on the best is an understatement. I mean, it was amazing hockey. And again, I think there's going to be a lot of little kids out there watching that are going to want to pick up a stick and play this game and put some skates on, and a lot of people that are going to want to watch it just because of that.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Coach, I had a comment that I thought was interesting because when you took a look and you had the injuries, I think they have to add this. Why don't they let a college player come up if they need a player to get a roster filled out in that Four Nations? Because there's some college players I think that could come in there, and you know what? You've been through it. The excitement of getting into international play, you play at a level that maybe accelerates the game at a level you didn't know you could play as well. So that may be something they could look at, because I think in this tournament, when you got down to it, nobody could come in and you can't backfill. That was kind of something I thought was strange.
Yeah.
I've always wondered about some of those rules, and that's above me. I mean, there was a recent change now in the World Juniors this last year where the year before, we had to make a decision over there on 2 guys that would go on our, basically it's called a taxi roster, where they could only play because of injury, whereas this year they were available and we could move guys in and out of the lineup. It was a change going into this year. I liked that change a lot. I mean, why have 2 kids over there that can't play unless somebody gets hurt? Why wouldn't we be able to have a couple extra players to be able to move in and out of the lineup throughout the tournament? So I agree with you on that. I think they need to look at some of those eligibility rules as far as who can play and who can't.
Yeah, and I think the reason was that they went by NHL rules on this Four Nations thing, and so that it's a little different criteria. But you're right, and I think the World Men's, they can do that. They can bring people in and out, and that's what they said. They said, well, we should be able to do that all the way through, and so they changed it back so that they can be.
Coach Larson, thank you for being on this
Thanks,
morning.
Brett.
I know you got your activities today, so you took some time out for us. But again, go win tonight, and the NCHE tournament gives you an opportunity to get to the big dance. So go out, play hard, play well. Thanks for being on.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
You too.
Thanks.
And we'll be back here on the Hockey Guys for a little, I don't know what we'll call it. Maybe we'll call it a Wilson dialogue here, because we can probably get into the depths of where the world's going in college hockey.
We're going to call it the shootout.
This intermission sponsored by Gateway Chevrolet. Chevrolet, where you can get big Silverado, Equinox, or Blazer. Go online at fargochevrolet.com. We'll be back here on the Hockey Guys to wrap it up. Welcome back. Valley Imports, thank you for being our presenting sponsor.
So I just want to clear the air a little bit. We hear on this Four Nations things that it was the best on the best. I want to get it out there that it probably wasn't the best on the best. There were some players that did not play for whatever reasons, and if we're lucky, we'll see them in 2026 at the Olympics.
But you're talking U.S.-Canada, but when you take a look at the whole tournament, the Russians weren't there.
Oh, yeah, the Russians weren't there.
Right. Czechs weren't there.
Czechs weren't there. I mean, it was the best on best for North America, maybe, but and the Swedes didn't have their lineup because there's guys over there in the Swedish league that are playing that weren't released. There's guys in Finland that are playing the Finnish league. So, it was a great thing for hockey. Let's just get it out there. But, the reality is, the best on best, I think, was a little overplayed.
What a good primer for the Olympics coming up.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, wow.
Well, it was a tryout camp for a lot of these guys. I mean,
for sure.
Because we all know that Quinn Hughes is going to be on that team. And you could go down the line, maybe some of the kids that aren't going to be, that are going to be substituted with some other players that were. Some of these players were healing up from injuries. They took that break. So, there's a lot of things that were involved.
And the good news is Sanderson got an opportunity.
And got a goal.
He made most of it. And he should.
Played well. So
he will be on the Olympic team.
That may help him more than it would have if he wouldn't have
got
got
that. And he's a return player. He was on in Beijing. So I think he'll be on. He's really one of the best defensemen out there. Underrated for sure.
I agree. I thought I was going to do a shout-out, but you beat me to the punch. But, yeah, he was just strong. He's seen the ice well. Popped a goal in, just found North Dakota boy, and then was he from Montana? Where did he?
Yeah, Whitefish, Montana.
Yeah, and I laugh, I smile at that because you don't think of that, right?
Yeah.
But he played well.
And his dad, Jeff Sanderson, played a lot for Vancouver. Great guy. I've been fortunate enough to meet their family, and they're really nice people.
And then your nephew, Eddie, Brock, what? Like you said, he was being physical, a lot more different than his game, maybe playing in the NHL, but they're tagging people. They're getting after it. So he had a good tournament, too.
It was a good game. The college scene is going to get fun now because some of you that are watching everything go on, based on what happens now in the Big Ten, based on what happens in Hockey East and those leagues, North Dakota moves up a couple of pegs by actually beating a team they're expected to beat. When you look at the pairwise, North Dakota now sitting at number 18. And Duluth obviously having a tough year. They're sitting at 39. But the teams came in at 20 and 40 and come out of it at 18 and 39. So if you're looking at how do you explain that? But that's what's goofy about pairwise.
And for North Dakota, they have a really tough road here for the next couple of weeks. Let's see how it goes. If they can manage that, and split maybe with Western on the road and take the home series with Omaha, I think that goes a long way. But this is the fun part of the season. Let's see how it starts to shake out.
That's the basics of any game, right?
Yep.
If you could sweep it home and split on the road, you will be the league champion. I don't care what league you look at. That's the formula.
Well, I always say this. What's the hardest part of a job of a stand-up comedian? Timing, right? I mean, guys healthy.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like UND had guys banged up. Larson talked about he's got his goalie back. That's a big push.
Yep.
Staying healthy, just hitting it at the right time. I've lived it as a coach. All of a sudden I had my best player breaks his leg a week before state. I'm going, doggone it. Mr. Hockey finalist, he's gone. It's a big piece.
Yeah.
So you got to stay healthy, hitting it at the right time. It's fun to see guys. I think of Berg back in the lineup. He was a definite fact. He's shaking a little rust now. He's getting in his game again. He's getting healthy. He's getting good. So it'd be interesting, this back run.
Yeah, and get the kids mentally refocused. As Stacy Goodrich would say, they need to kind of wipe out their circle and just stay down and stay focused.
You'd be proud of me, Doc. I've been reading the book.
The
good. 3 circles.
Good.
And I've been throwing it out to kids when I sub here and there. Talking about the circle 1, 2, and 3, right? And it's just simple. It's a fun read, and I have one player at Davies. I said, when I'm done, I'm giving you the book because he's got banged up a little bit, and I go, I think you'll like the thought process behind it.
She's going to teach with me at the medical school this week.
So here's fun. UMass Lowell Providence, both of those teams in the 16. New Hampshire Mass, that game again last night. New Hampshire picked up. So UMass probably needs to bounce back. Northeastern BU, see what BU does. BC Vermont shouldn't be a question, but
Vermont's pretty good though.
Well, but again, remember how coaches talk. I told you that if you're looking on the road 1-1, so the players are conditioned to think okay, and then you say, oh geez, we should have been able to sweep Vermont. But we'll watch that one.
What about Quinnipiac?
Western Arizona. again, Denver, Miami, must for Denver.
Right.
You got Minnesota and North Dakota, must for North Dakota. And then you have Minnesota, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State. Those all impact the pairwise. The only ones that looking on the outside there would be Notre Dame, Wisconsin. Again, both of them are in the high 30s. But when you take a look at what I just went through, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games. 10 games that may show a 3 to 4 number shift for a couple of teams that are sitting in those.
That's wild. That's just wild. The
14 to 20 range.
Yeah, for sure.
How that all plays out. I mean, this is, and at this point, most teams, you're starting to get into playoff mode. I mean, it's playoff hockey time. You're trying to
it's dialing
yourself.
in for sure.
Yep.
And, of course, for the leagues that play in the home rinks, this year will be the final year down in St. Paul.
Right.
For the NCHC tourney.
Which I think is a good thing. I like bringing it back to campus. I mean, I really do.
I have to believe that I'm with you.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times can you take fans and travel them somewhere other than
Right.
where they can just stay at home and go to hockey games? So I'm with you. I think playing home rinks, given something to play for in league play.
Exactly. I mean, I think that's
it,
Eddie. It's something to play for, and not only that, but also the fans being rewarded for being there game in and game out and cheering the team on. They get an extra game or two.
Yeah, I mean, Shields Arena, I mean, I talk, it's score some tickets, get over there. It's a short car ride to get over there. What great hockey, so that's always fun when it's in your own backyard.
Yep.
And with the growth of college hockey going on, had a little visit with coach at NDSU, Mark Hendrickson, and I told him we'd probably try to get him on next week. There's going to be some activities coming up here for some kids that might want to get looked at, looking to go in and play. We call it, club hockey, but I think in the world that is, we're watching the places that had club college hockey that are entering into ACHA or getting into D1 men's college hockey, I think is going to grow now for the next 10 years, probably at the fastest pace that we've seen college hockey grow.
Yep. So have you guys heard of that National Collegiate Development Conference? That was news to me. And
that's what I would like to get Mr. Hendrickson on to talk about, because he mentioned it to me, and I looked and I said, hold on here, what is it? But again, you take a look at it. And then, of course, join in with Pat Micheletti. I listen to him once in a while when I'm in the area when he's on his show, and he keeps charging for the all Minnesota and North Dakota, and now probably Augustana. Somehow you have to have all those teams play each other in some kind of a format or some kind of a tournament. So if you're paying attention and watch what just happened with the Four Nations, what happens if you took the Minnesota teams and Augustana and North Dakota and you went in and you played a week tourney? What would happen to the growth of college hockey? Because I got
a new North Star Cup.
I have to believe that you would light the world on fire if you were to use that and take a peek at that.
Absolutely, and rotate them every year.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Get those rivalries back, right?
Get the juices flowing. Get the juices flowing, man. Let's kick it up.
Absolutely.
Accidents and messes included. Shaw Floor's Pet Perfect Carpet helps you love confidently with protection